Oftentimes we speak about the causes and consequences of such climatic changes and the way that we have in the past changes and the consequences of such changes in the climate. In fact, today presents a perfect context for why we should immediately address the consequences of climate change. It took me about an hour and a half, and I'm sure each one of you must have been through the same, to traverse through a route that otherwise would not have taken me more than 35 to 40 minutes. And what you see splashing all over the televisions today are the ravaging floods. Again, a consequence of environmental degradation. So it is in this context that you are conducting and you're holding this International Conference on Climate. I would say that it provides you a very appropriate context and a backdrop. And this also adds a dash of urgency as to why we should, without any delay, find solutions, build robust action plans, and make sure that we secure our tomorrow. You know, I would surely not repeat what you already know. Oftentimes we speak about the causes and consequences of such climatic changes and the way that we have in the past, or maybe even today, are abusing the earth resources. But we all know it. But I came across some very interesting statistics, I'm sure you know it already, that 75% of the global energy is drawn from fossil fuels. And we know that 12 million hectares of forests are depleting every year. I mean, it sounds harrowing. You know, we just did a symbolic act of renewal and revival of a forest by planting a sapling. A lot of effort has gone in, as we all know, in India, wherein we have tried to restore our forests. It is not today. I remember way back in 1977, I was the Deputy Commissioner, Pithoragarh. And we had a major crisis of the forest lands being abused and the forest being mowed down for urbanization, which was happening at a very fast pace. So there we had what we call the civil forests. These are those lands which do not belong to individuals. They may have been the forests once upon a time, but at the moment they were lying barren. So way back in 1977, that is 48 years ago, we launched a major campaign to reclaim these civil lands, the civil forest lands. And we came up with a solution, what we called the three-dimensional farming. That means it not only met the needs of sustaining an environment, a healthy environment, it also met the needs of the local families and also supported them in carrying out small economic activities for their livelihood. So the three-dimensional farming way back in 1977, initiated with the help of Indo-German Agriculture Development Project, we used to call it IGADA, made a substantial difference in the district of Pithoragarh. So we've been at it for as long as you remember, but then we need to do much more. You know, the paradox is that the quality of life that we live today has all been facilitated by energy. And the fact is, the sources of this energy seem to threaten the very life that we have built for ourselves. So that is where the dilemma is. The dilemma is, while we need energy and we need more energy, where do we get this energy from? The answers are simple. The solutions are hard to follow. The answers are very simple. Biofuels is the answer. We all know it. There's nothing new that I'm saying. And I also know a lot of work being done in the area of hydrogen cells, hydrogen fuel. And of course, even when you generate electricity and you have electric cars, you still need energy being produced by fossil fuels. And the second best thing that you are probably discussing today in this conference is about the ethanol. Very interesting thing that I read and I discovered through your papers is that dent corn. Now, how do you? Dent corn has a major agricultural implication. How do you change the cropping patterns for dent corn? How efficient or how viable will cultivation of dent corn be for the farmer? And as you know, changing cropping patterns is not just an economic phenomena, it is a social phenomena as well. It also deals with the well-grounded beliefs that the farmers have. So to get them to change the cropping pattern from the conventional crops or the cash crops to dent corn farming is going to be, I wouldn't say difficult, but would call for very thought-through action plan. Then the economics of it will have to be established so that the farmers take on to it. I do not know. I'm sure this expert group that's present here, and you have several technical sessions coming up, and you will be discussing that in the course of the day, as to how do you establish the viability, economic viability. And of course, lastly, the processing part. So one source of ethanol for the future could be your dent corn. But then presently, we use crushed cane, what we also call the bagasse, for extraction of ethanol. Can this be made more efficient? I remember when I first dealt with cane and sugar industry, the recovery used to be anything between 7 to 8%. And over time, we have touched 11%, which is a great scientific feat. And I'm sure over time, this is going to get better. So therefore, what will you do in terms of technological innovations and advancement wherein you extract more ethanol out of the bagasse, that is the leftover of the crushed cane? So these are some of the things that I think we need to do in moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest gap that I find is that we know. But knowing how to roll it out and making sure that it happens in a manner intended is the real challenge. How do we do that? Now, I'm also connected with educational institutions, apart from several other things that I do. And I can tell you, and you know it, I think we have discussed that on several forums before, that the way to go about it is to build an industry-academia collaboration, an active collaboration. Now, I remember the first time this term was used was something like 30 years ago. In one of the CII conferences, this was emphasized. But since then, I'm not saying that I've seen no movement, but I've seen much less than what we should have ordinarily expected. How do we make it happen? That is the question. Now, in terms of awareness and sensitization, I can tell you, we all know it. We all know it's not all right to litter, yet we litter. We know a lot of things which are not right, but we do them instinctively. See, the whole idea is, what is the action plan that we can build to make this happen? And that can only happen through effective working collaborations. How do we build those collaborations? One of the things that I would like to suggest is that can we have creation of projects and small funding of those projects, let's say the school level in class 11 and 12. Going further, can we have a similar arrangement with universities and colleges of science and technology, wherein we bring in bigger projects, bigger funding? Ladies and gentlemen, you know, there are two ways to approach anything. One is to build a program, and the second is to build a movement. And the difference between the program and the movement is that program envisages controlled conditions, which often are not the case, whereas a movement brings in everybody. Everyone gets involved, wherever that person, wherever that institution be. Now, can you think of building a movement wherein small aspects of energy efficiency, smaller aspects of cleaner biofuels, some elements of energy conservation, all of these are addressed in these schools and colleges. And today, as you know, with the spread of internet and knowledge becoming so commonly available, nobody has to go to a big library to look for reference books and find references. I mean, a keyword search can give you everything right there. And AI today is, although sometimes dicey, but making it all the more simple. So, knowledge is not an issue. The issue is the action. So, can we together build an environment where we, in a state of continuity, as a continuum, have projects being addressed by these young people. And as I was saying, today you see the power of youth. My generation first saw the television when I was about 9 or 10 years old. And I first saw the color television in the year 1982 when India was playing the World Cup, and it was that famous Kapil Dev's 175 in India versus Zimbabwe match. But this generation is born with this mobile device. It comes as a package. A 2-year-old will not eat his breakfast until he has something to fiddle with. I mean, they're so deft, they're so comfortable with devices that our generation was not. And so therefore, this generation, as we've seen stories of how some of them have created wonders. I know a young boy from Iran, and his name is Armin. He dropped out of class 12. He's a US citizen. He dropped out of class 12 and did not think it was worth pursuing a degree in computer engineering and spending or wasting 4 years. And he did not. And just about 4 years hence, after passing his school, class 12, he is today being regarded as one of the brightest minds in computer engineering, without acquiring a formal degree. Such is the power of youth. So I think we need to go down to schools and colleges. We need to involve these people And we need to fund small projects, have ways to reward them, recognize and acknowledge them. And ladies and gentlemen, given your direction, given your vision, they will, together with you, find the way to the future. We need to qualitatively prepare ourselves for a better life tomorrow. Thank you so much. And I did not, by choice, share any gyan with you because most of you know what it is. So there's no point talking about causes and effect of climatic degradation. But I think what is important is the way forward. So I did not tell you something that you did not know. I'm acutely aware of that. But I'm only saying, I'm only emphasizing that we need to move firmly and resolutely in this direction. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. God bless and wish you a healthier climate tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Om Pathak, for that address and also for being such a passionate advocate for sustainable development and education. And I understand you have paucity of time since he has pressing commitments. So I would like to quickly at this point invite Mr. Jitendra Singh, Deputy Secretary General of PhD CCI, if he is here to kindly join us on stage to felicitate Mr. Om Pathak. Do we have Mr. Jitendra Singh here? Mr. Pathak, can we have you on the stage, please? Mr. Pathak has been working and driving various initiatives connecting community, policy and action. Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out of your schedule and being here for the summit with us. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to invite.
So therefore, I just asked the organizers to give me some the place in the conference, and I'm very thankful to the organizers so that they have given me the session, and so as to just share my experiences with the room. So we have ethanol is to extract the corn. This is the idea, and already this is not a new technology. We are already doing it with the sugarcane and the other biomass produced, and the Government of Rural Development Department are also having many schemes in the rural sector and also in the semi-urban areas of municipalities to create biomass out of the, whatever the agriculture waste or the field waste that we have. Now, one thing is there that when we launch any kind of idea or we brainstorm about any of the sessions like this, we have to see that whether we enjoy the trust factor in the field. Because the trust factor in the field is very important. Ultimately, the people who will be affected by it and who will benefit out of it or who has to implement it or carry out the execution to gain their trust out of the applications and whatever kind of mechanism is very, very important. Now, when we implement such kind of agriculture schemes in the ground and cutting edge level, we have to see that we gain the trust of the women. Because women at the cutting edge level who are working at the field level are one of the major beneficiaries and one of the major contributors towards the goals of climate change. And it has also been said in the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations in SDG number 7 that women is one of the most important stakeholders along with the other cutting edge functionaries. So we can see that women acts as a consumer, she acts as a producer, she acts as a manufacturer, and she also is running the informal sector and is producing so much, and is in one form or the other is participating in the producing of raw materials for the informal sector or for the SMEs and also for the small scale manufacturing units. So we have to see that we properly train the important stakeholder which is at the cutting edge level, and we also mentor, we also produce some training programs, and we also try to gain the trust of the functionaries who are going to perform this at the first field level. Now, one thing which I would like to like to add is that this this is the new technology, this is a new concept that we are discussing about extracting ethanol out of corn. And moreover, it is a non-edible corn. As the name of the topic suggests, that non-edible corn, it is one of the inventions of the biotechnology, genetically modified. So this would be, this is already at the pilot level, but we have not scaled it to the countrywide level in our various agriculture mechanisms. So we have to see to it that, you know, the situations or the prerequisites or the conditions that are required for this particular, you know, genetically modified non-edible corn to produce it into the ethanol is well taken, and it is well received and properly researched. So the concept paper and the request is very important for this when we come out with some kind of a concrete proposal to bring it before the government for various kinds of, you know, financial proposals and for arranging the expertise and the finance for it. So we have to see, and moreover these days we are stressing a lot upon the green hydrogen, because green hydrogen is you know, one of the step forward which will lead us to the clean energy. But there are so many hurdles and challenges before we go towards the green hydrogen in terms of access to technology, access to instruments, and also to the supply chain, because 90% of the supply chain is lying with one geography of the world, and it is very important to access that particular supply chain and that particular technology. So green hydrogen, though we are having many, you know, innovation labs set up across the country, but still the implementation of green hydrogen has got still a time lag, and it is a very important policy of the government that before that a particular stopgap arrangement in the form of ethanol is also acts as a replacement. So ethanol, already we are doing it in sugarcane, already we are doing it with other molasses and the other kind of field wastes which we are generating. But this will be the new experiment to do it with the corn. Well, we have the various kind of, you know, expertise, and we have the experimentation before us in the foreign countries, in USA, in China, in Germany, in Brazil, and we have to replicate that here. And plus there has to be some kind of, you know, the government policy support also that will come about with it. Now, what I have, you know, taken the experiences from my field experiences, that the ethanol that we produce is very high dense. It is quite dense, and therefore its energy, you know, percolation is not very efficient, because it comes with many impurities of alcohol in it. So that we have to refine it. We are just doing this, you know, welding of this wet melding. We put some water in it, and then we put it inside the ground, and then it gets fermented, and out of that the ethanol is produced. So, but it comes with a lot of impurities, and which we have to do refining, and which we have to do cleaning, which can be done only with these some technology in place. So these now, since one of the speaker has already highlighted the, you know, why don't we in cash, or we can mechanize and we can unleash the technologies of AI or blockchain or machine learning towards extracting it towards the more cleaner energy, that also we can see to it. And plus we have to see that rare metals, which we are talking about these days, and it is one of the phenomena through which we can more refine our ethanol oil that we produce to mix it with the diesel or mix it with the petrol, so as to make it more efficient biodiesel. So we can do it, but while we are implementing this rare earth, while we have to see not only from the beginning, but we have to see the mechanism from end to end. We not only has to see about the rare earth like lithium or aluminum, which is used in the, you know, production of these kind of clean technologies, but we also has to see that when they are disposed of, while they are disposed of, how can we extract that? Because while extracting, we have to see the totally end to end while coming out with the cost of any kind of, you know, this ethanol pricing when we do it. So this technology is still new in India. We still has to go a long way towards extracting the waste which is generated out of these, you know, manufacturing that we do of our battery system. And also ethanol is also the gateway to the green hydrogen. The solar, India is also the member of the Solar Alliance, and the government is doing has given so much of subsidy, and government has given so much of, you know, benefits and promotion in its schemes, so that we can come out with, we can extract the solar energy, wind energy into our farms. And also the Digital India program of the government, in which we need lot of, you know, energy so as to run our data centers. And also we have to see that, like all these kind of digital India programs are properly run, because all the technologies of AI like machine learning and the GPUs that we will be having, they are really the energy guzzlers. And for this, the energy requirement is really needed. And of course, the per capita availability of the electricity is, consumption of the electricity in India is equivalent to whatever we produce. We are not running any short of it, but still, when we have to meet the targets of the digital India, we have to see, and when we are moving towards the technological innovation, we will need energy in the process, in our journey. And then we have to explore, and we have to see and experiment the various other sources of energy. So taking out ethanol from the corn is a new concept in India, and it is at the experimentation stage. Now, I come from Puducherry at the moment, so there it is also known as a place to run the pilot projects for Government of India. So before any scheme is launched in the country, this Union of Territory is the first place where the government runs its schemes. Now in Puducherry, we also have the Auroville. Auroville, you must have seen. It's a meditation unit. It is run by various countries. Now it is also running one of the small project when it comes to producing the corn ethanol with the help of corn. So we can just take some inputs from there, from the Auroville, that how they are doing it, but that is done in a very, very small scale. Now we are still a developing nation, and when it comes to financing such kind of projects, it gets quite difficult for us to arrange for the finance. But the government has come out with a policy of public-private partnership, through which the government sometimes seeing the feasibility of the project and also for the benefit of the society. And when it is bringing about some social justice and equity, it will give some kind of risk assurance and security guarantees, so that this one particular projects are properly implemented. So maybe this corn project, this is directly hitting the agriculture sector, and it is directly hitting the women at the cutting edge level. So this will bring about the empowerment of women and the people at the cutting edge level. So we have to see to it that this kind of mechanism, through properly presenting our proposal before the government of this project, of this idea, we can arrange for the various kind of finances from the government. And government also is really encouraging the public-private partnership mode, and where it gives the security guarantees for the various risks. So I have, shared few of my ideas, which I have gained from the ground, and there is so much of things to be shared, and everybody has to, we have to listen to everyone's perspectives in order to reach a particular brainstorming session to its logical conclusion. So I really thank once again the organizers and also the audience in the room, the dignitaries who are sitting there, for the patience listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jaiswal, for sharing all your on-ground learnings with us. It was really a pleasure hearing you. Before we move forward, we request all the speakers to stick to a time frame of 4 to 5 minutes for your presentations, so that we can stay on schedule and we can have the opportunity to hear in from the other speakers as well. Moving quickly forward, it is my now pleasure to invite onto the dais Dr. H.S. Jat, Director of the Indian Institute of Millets Research, someone who's been at the forefront of agricultural innovation, has been driving research that not only enhances productivity but also aligns with sustainable and climate resilient practices. Let us all welcome him with a round of applause.
Thank you so much. Dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, Dr. Gupta ji, Mr. Rastogi ji, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is one of the important summit we have today. This is, we call it International Climate Summit. And I think it is very right time we have in the country. If you look at the climate changes in the country and their impacts on the agricultural productions, I think in the years to come we have to think in a different way, so that we can sustain our natural resources, we can sustain our agricultural production, and also we can save our Mother Earth. If I take a simple example that how climate is changing and what are their impacts on the crop production, especially with respect to the wheat, rice and the maize. If there is an increase in temperature of around 1 degree Celsius, I think we may lose almost 3 to 4% of the wheat productions. That accounts around 4 million tons in a country when the temperature is more than 34 degrees Celsius at the time of the green filling in the wheat, and we call it terminal heat. And if the same thing continues of around 1 degree Celsius increase in temperature again, in case of the rice, we may lose almost 6% of the total productions. That will be around 8 to 9 million tons in the country. But the maize is more resilient when we compare it with the rice and wheat. And because of that, we may not face such a major challenges when there is a slight increase in temperature or slight decrease in temperature or slight increase in rainfall or decrease in rainfall. Because being a C4 plants, it has more resilience as compared to the other cereal crops, that is rice and wheat. Another example is that when there is an increase in temperature by 1 degree Celsius, I think we require 10% more irrigation water. It means we are pumping more water from the ground. And because of that, we are facing a lot of problems, especially in the northwestern part of the country, and that is in Punjab, Haryana, and the western Uttar Pradesh. If you look at the data of the last few decades back, I think around 75% of the fresh water is being utilized for agricultural purposes. Now it has come down to less than 45%. So it means that we need more productions from the less water and also from the less soils, because most of the cultivated lands are going for urbanization, going for the factories and other things. So I think now there is a philosophy that we have to have in mind that we have to produce more grains from the less inputs and for the more profit so that farmers can get the maximum benefits from that. So why this climate summit is very much related to the corn revolution. Revolution is not a new thing basically. We means our country experienced a revolution in 1960s, at the time of the Green Revolution, that was in the rice and the wheat. So it means in the morning, I think one of our panelists or one of the presenters said that we are very far behind in terms of the productions. We have only 40 plus million tons in case of maize, whereas in case of the rice and wheat, we have around more than 100 plus million tons of productions. But on the other sides, the revolution that was experienced by this country 7 decades back in case of the rice and wheat, and now we are thinking about the revolution. That's why the production of the maize is less when we compare with the rice and wheat. It means we are 7 decades trailed by the rice and wheat. Of course, at the time of the Green Revolution, the maize was a major food crop, but it was derailed. It was derailed, and the place was occupied by the rice and wheat. That's why the production is less. But now, looking to the passion, looking to the encouragement, looking to the support and the cooperation from the government side in the years to come, or I should say by the Amrit Kal, by 2047, I think we may get the place that we should be, and that will be more than 100 plus million tons of the productions of the maize in the country. Now, and there are some of the factors that are responsible, that force us to think about the corn revolutions, and that is the ethanol policy of the government of India that came into 2018. Of course, it was started long back in 2004 by the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government. Now it is again restructured by the Modi's government, and I am very thankful to the government of India that they started this policy of ethanol policy, and because of that now we are thinking about the major corn revolution. Why climate summit and why climate and corn revolution are similar? Because around 70% of the area under the maize is under rainfed situations. Only 30% we have under the irrigated conditions. So 70% is directly related to the climate or weather abnormalities, I should say, or weather conditions. Whether it is rainfall, whether it is temperature, whether it is humidity, whether it is soil quality and the other things. So in case of when we have a rainfed situations, I take again one of the best examples. Earlier we are having almost 40 to 45 rain days in the country, 40 to 45 rain days in the country, especially in the Northwest India. Right now we have only 20 to 22 days, 20 to 22 rainy days only. It means the rainy days goes down by 50%. And most of the showers, most of the rains we are getting in 2 or 3 times only. That is around sometimes more than 70 millimeters, sometimes more than 80 millimeters. So most of the rainwater is going drain off in the nalas or in the rivers, or it is going back to the sea. In that situations, I think we need to develop some of the best management strategies. We have to breed some of the best cultivars in the country so that we can sustain our maize production. Some of the scientists, some of the stakeholders, I should say, some of the stakeholders with the maize, they are always talking about the dent corn. But I think we should go into deep and we should understand whether we are able to grow dent corn in the country or not. Because dent corn requires the cold climate, and we do have a cold climate, but in very less area. If you look at the distribution of the different varieties of the corn, whether it is flint corn, dent corn, semi-flint, semi-dent, and dent corn, we have only 4% area in the dent corn, and that is very much restricted to the Himalayan region, especially the area we are very restricted to the Himalayan region, and where we are going mostly for the composite varieties, because there, most of the farmers, most of the populations are using the maize as a food crop, not as a feed, not for the ethanol. Most of the varieties, whatever we have, whether it is from the private sector or public sectors, in my knowledge, from my perspective, I never distinguish between the private and public. We all are fighting for the maize revolution in the country. Around 33% or around 30% comes under the semi-dent on the semi-flint corn. And rest is flint corn and only 4% is dent corn. So I think whatever the target, we have to identify the domains through the suitability mapping, and we have to identify that which area goes for what type of the corns. Then only we can think of the higher productions with the high starch recovery. Of course, dent corn have high starch content of around 65% to 70%. However, the other crop may be semi-dent and semi-flint that has around 58 to 65%. So, but in our conditions, because we have most of the tropical climatic conditions, and in tropical climatic conditions, tropical and subtropical climatic conditions, where we have almost more than 80% of the maize cultivation in the country, we cannot think of pure dent corn in the country. That's why I think we have to devise the strategies. We have divided the best varieties for the rain-fed situations, for the tropical and subtropical conditions. There are some other areas regarding the ethanol. Sometimes we are also talking about the import of the corn from the other countries. But in my personal opinion, I am not in favor of that import of the corn for ethanol purposes. When you are going for the import of the corn for the ethanol in the country, better you import the crude oil. So there is no need to put the, no need to go for processing and producing the ethanol in the country. I don't think it will serve our purpose, because on the one side we are talking about the Atmanirbhar Bharat, and on other sides we have something in mind that I think the import should be allowed for the maize. But in my personal opinion, I am not in favor of that. Another aspect is GM crops, genetically modified crops. If you look at the benefits of the GM crops all across the world, it is not more than 5 to 6% advantage over the other corns. So I better, rather than having the GM crops, I think the government of India, the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, and I am very thankful to the Secretary there, Dr. M.L. Jat, that they have started one of the best programs in the country for the gene editing. And I think we have received already 2 gene-edited crops in case of the rice. And maybe in the years to come, maybe in 1 year or 2 years, I think, or maybe 3 years, I think we are also have on the same page. And there will be some gene-edited lines for the maize that has high starch content. And because of that, I think we can achieve the high ethanol recovery. The ethanol recovery still it is an issue in the country. We have only 38 to 40% ethanol recovery. And when we compare with the US, Brazil, and the other American countries, I think it is around 4 to 5% less. But again, they have dent corn, we have semi-dent and semi-flint corn. But even then we are trying, being a research organization, we are trying our best, and I think maybe in 3 or 4 years, there are some of the varieties you will have on the ground that contains almost 40 to 43% of the ethanol recovery from the same semi-dent and the semi-flint corn varieties. DDGS is also issue. Most of the, any feed industries are talking about the DDGS also. But the DDGS, if you look at the DDGS content, of course the protein content is less. It is around only 25 to 30% protein. When you compare it with the rice DDGS, when we compared about the rice DDGS, it is 40 and 45%. But the quantity is double in case of the maize as compared to the rice. So when we take into that account, I think the protein content is more or less same. But of course, even then it may be enriched with the other DDGs that may be from the soybean or that may be from the rice also. And another things that how we can increase the productivity, because sir, last 1 minute I will take. How we can increase the productivity. So for that we have already developed the roadmap and share with our department, SMD, and the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, and also with the other state governments also. There are 2 ways. One is how to increase in area, and another is to increase the productivity. There are only 2 ways that we have. But increase in area is not possible. Right now, I think we have around 12 million hectare area, and the area is increasing at a speed of around 10% in the country. But this is not required. We do not require this much of the area expansion in the maize. Rather than we are putting more pressures on the increase in productivity. And that is not only through the best varieties, but also through the best management practices. Right now we have a varieties, what we are identifying and we are notifying the varieties that has potential more than 10 tons per hectare. We have already fixed the target of producing the varieties of around 12 tons per hectare in the country. When we achieve this much of the target and we release this much of the targeted varieties, I think our production or our productivity, that is around 3.5 tons per hectare, it will go up to 4.5 or maybe 5 tons per hectare, maybe in the coming 3 or 4 years. So we are thinking by 2030, I think we will be able to produce around 70 million tons of the maize in the country. And that will sufficient to meet out the requirement of ethanol industry. That will be around 25 to 30% of the total. Sufficient to meet out the poultry requirement for feed, that is around 40%, and for the animal feed and the food and other purposes. So I am very happy to share, and also I am very happy to share that our contribution in the ethanol production in the country, a contribution of maize is ranging from 40 to 50% within a span of 2.5 years. Before that it was less than 2%. And this is the contribution from you all stakeholders. So I am very thankful to all the stakeholders of the maize, Government of India, all the research organizations, and also I am very thankful to Gupta ji and Dr. Rastogi ji that they invite me to be here to discuss on the maize. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ashas Jad, for sharing your insights with us. We're now going to turn our attention towards more dimensions of sustainable energy solutions. It is my privilege to invite onto the dais Ms. Becky from Dr. Bansidhar Institute, an institute which is renowned for its pioneering work in clean energy, for their research, for innovations, and from her we will try and understand that how the institute is trying to bring about a transformative change. Ms. Becky.
Yes. Thank you, Ritika. Warm good afternoon to everybody. I stand here representing my chairman of the Dr. Bansidhar Institute, and thank you, Dr. Gupta, Dr. Rastogi, Dr. Ranjit Kumar, to give us this opportunity to speak about some of the research and development work that we are doing at the Dr. Bansidhar Institute, which is under the aegis of the DCM Shri Ram Group. So if I speak about the global context about green hydrogen and clean energy, the global energy system is undergoing a historic transformation. Driven by climate change, growing energy demands, and the urgent need to reduce dependence on fossil fuels, the countries worldwide are accelerating the adoption of clean energy. Among various energy carriers, hydrogen has emerged as a cornerstone of the clean energy transition. It is versatile, energy dense, and can be applied across power generation, transportation, and industry. Green hydrogen produced from renewable energy sources is particularly critical because it offers a pathway to decarbonize hard-to-abate sectors such as steel, cement, chemicals, and long-haul transport systems. India has recognized this potential and launched the National Green Hydrogen Mission in 2023, which targets the production of 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen annually by 2030. The mission emphasizes indigenous R&D, cost competitiveness, and large-scale deployment to make India a global hub for hydrogen production and utilization. Within this landscape, the Dr. Bansidhar Institute is playing a pivotal role by advancing research and technology in hydrogen production, utilization, and storage, with a special emphasis on the anion exchange membrane electrolyzers. Supporting India's national priorities, which are the National Green Hydrogen Mission, which I just mentioned, the Atmanirbhar Bharat, the Net Zero by 2070, and the Make in India initiative. Let's talk a little bit about the hydrogen value chain initiative that we have started off at the Dr. Bansidhar Institute. Our strength lies in an integrated approach spanning the entire hydrogen ecosystem. We look at the production by using the green hydrogen via the anion exchange membrane electrolyzers, the carbon neutral fuels via the carbon dioxide electrolyzers. We also look at hydrogen storage, where we are producing and synthesizing advanced nanomaterials which enable safe and high-density hydrogen storage. We are also working on the utilization of hydrogen by using the proton exchange membrane fuel cells for power and transport, and hydrogen burners for clean cooking. This integrated strategy of ours ensures that advances in one area, that is the anion exchange membrane electrolyzers, are complemented by progressing in others, creating a comprehensive technology base for hydrogen research. Now, why do anion exchange membrane electrolyzers matter, which is our focus area currently? These are devices that split water into hydrogen and oxygen using electricity. While the alkaline electrolyzers and the proton exchange membrane electrolyzers dominate the market, both face limitations. Alkaline systems are inexpensive, but they are less efficient. The PEM systems offer high efficiency, but they depend on expensive noble metal catalysts and membranes. The anion exchange membrane electrolyzers combine the best of both. They operate in alkaline conditions, allowing the use of non-precious, earth-abundant catalyst instead of platinum and gold group metals. They offer efficiencies that are comparable to the proton exchange membrane system and are significantly with lower material and operational cost. They are emerging as the most promising pathway to a cost-effective and a large-scale green hydrogen production. At the Dr. Bansidhar Institute, we are advancing the anion exchange membrane technology across the full research spectrum, from material discovery to device scale-up. First, we are working on catalyst development using non-precious metals. We are working on innovating the membranes for these electrolyzers by designing membranes with improved ionic conductivity and chemical resistance in alkaline conditions. We're also looking at integrating the electrodes and the assemblies for this electrolyzer, and looking at, because we are an industrial R&D setup, we're looking at it for scaling up. Through this work, the Dr. Bansidhar Institute is establishing itself in the AEM electrolyzer research, a domain of strategic importance for India's hydrogen economy. Last minute, half a minute. I just want to thank you. So we envision to become a hub of hydrogen research and technology in India with the electrolyzers, and our roadmap includes expanding the AEM research, partnering with industry to accelerate our commercialization, develop cross-cutting technologies, and train the next generation. Through these efforts, the Dr. Bansidhar Institute aims to build scientific and technological foundation for India's hydrogen future, one that is affordable, self-reliant, and globally competitive. My colleagues will speak on this in more detail a little later in the day. Thank you for this opportunity, and happy to connect with you. We also have a stall at the back. Please do visit us, and we'd love to have a lovely, great interaction with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Becky Thomas, for taking us through the incredible work that's happening at the Dr. Bansidhar Institute. Moving forward, it's my now pleasure to invite onto the dais the Chief Technology Officer at AM Green and an expert in environmental product performance, Dr. S.S.V. Ramakumar. He's someone who will be sharing his perspective on sustainable innovations and green technologies that are shaping our industries today. Do we have his presentation ready?
And there's no pointer here. So good afternoon to all of you. While my presentation, I have a couple of slides to show you. Yeah, first of all, let me thank Dr. J.P. Gupta for inviting me to this very important scientific platform of 5th International Climate Summit. Uh, Currently, I belong to a group company called Greenco and AM Green. AM Green pursues, as the name suggests, all green molecules, starting from green ammonia to green hydrogen, you name it, everything, and biofuels also. So we have recently acquired a technology provider for converting lignocellulosic biomass to ethanol by the name Chempolis. It's a Finnish company, and now we are the new owners of this company. So today, I think, in line with the theme of this conference of corn ethanol, I would like to speak the other facet of corn, lignocellulosic biomass to ethanol. I would like to present before you that the lignocellulosic content of the corn leftovers, how they can also be converted into ethanol. And when you convert directly corn into ethanol, the carbon reduction potential is only that much. I can quote the numbers also. Compared to gasoline, the carbon intensity of corn-based ethanol through first generation route is only 50%, around 50% carbon reduction. But if you use the corn leftovers, when I say corn leftovers, it can be corn starch, corn stover, or corn cob, which is a waste material, and you convert that into ethanol, then the carbon reduction is 80% compared to gasoline. So this would be more sustainable in a way. So I'm going to present a couple of slides how you can do that. And besides producing ethanol, the technology which I'm going to represent today or going to present to you can actually improve the bottom line of this whole exercise by giving valuable byproducts which can be valorized. So the technology, the theme of my talk is lignocellulosic biomass to ethanol. This is my company, the Greenco. Greenco is one of the leading renewable energy company with hybrid assets of solar, wind, and hydro. And we are the owners of world's largest pump storage hydro project at Andhra Pradesh, which has just recently been commissioned with 1.6 gigawatts of capacity. By coupling the renewable electricity generation and pump storage, we can deliver the renewable electricity at one of the cheapest costs. The cost efficiency of the delivered green electron is one of the lowest. So from there, the AM green, so we are trying to convert these green electrons into green molecules. When I say green molecule, starting from green hydrogen through electrolysis using the green electron, we are going to produce green ammonia, green methanol, green olefins, and biofuels. Biofuels, as I am speaking to you, the as I am speaking to you, the world's first bamboo to ethanol refinery at Numaligarh refinery is in the final stages of commissioning. This will be inaugurated this week by Honorable Prime Minister. This is a 300 KTPA plant which is fairly larger commercial size at this Assam biorefinery. AM Green is 50% owner of this this venture by virtue of our acquisition of Chempolis, Finland. So this is going to yield 49,000 tons per annum of bioethanol. As I told you, the USP of this new technology is that besides producing ethanol, this can also produce Yeah, as I am speaking to you, the world's first bamboo to ethanol refinery at Numaligarh refinery is in the final stages of commissioning. This will be inaugurated this week by Honorable Prime Minister. This is a 300 KTPA plant which is fairly larger commercial size at this Assam biorefinery. AM Green is 50% owner of this venture by virtue of our acquisition of Campolis, Finland. So this is going to yield 49,000 tons per annum of bioethanol. As I told you, the USP of this new technology is that besides producing ethanol, this can also produce ethanol cost would be lesser than 70 rupees. Pardon? Yes, yes. It is at minimum 80%. As the bamboo to ethanol refinery using our technology is going to be commissioned at 60%, and within 3 months it will be ramped up to 80%. And in Numaligarh refinery, we don't have the lignin separation circuit, but whereas with corn store we can build that lignin separation circuit, and lignin is a very valuable precursor. You can get so many byproducts, which is going to bring down the cost of the ethanol, final levelized cost of the ethanol. So my submission is that look at this new technology, and this technology, besides giving you ethanol, and that ethanol, the LCA of this ethanol is extremely positive, and this will ensure 80% reduction of the carbon emissions compared to gasoline or the fossil fuel. That is the benchmark comparison. As against the first generation corn ethanol, I would say first generation corn ethanol of simple fermentation, it gives only 50% reduction. So let me complete this, then you can intervene. So my submission is, I'm not denying the first generation ethanol. If you want to concentrate only on domestic market, even 50% carbon reduction is okay. But if you want to have export potential of your ethanol, and sooner than later, the second generation ethanols will be permitted. This is my understanding of my interaction with the government circles and policymakers. Today, ethanol export is not possible, but second generation ethanol, government is actively considering to permit that for export. And if you want to export your ethanol into European sector, then first generation ethanols are not permitted for export. Only second generation ethanols with a carbon reduction of 80% can only beat the CBAM requirements. So while you can produce the ethanol, and you can also be able to export it to European markets if you use appropriate technologies like this technology, Campolis technology, and your bottom lines can also be improved by cross-validating and valorizing the other valuable products like lignin. And from lignin, a plethora of opportunities are available. Lignin to carbonaceous materials, lignin to resins, lignin to BTX, benzene, toluene, xylene, all of them are green. All of them are green. Let me say that they are all green. You can get green furfural, and you can get the green acetic acid, which is an industrial chemical. So I thought it would be appropriate in this forum to present that while you concentrate on corn to generate your first generation ethanol to meet the domestic requirements, but anybody who nurtures export ambitions, then have a look at this technology. This can beat the European compliance standards if you produce the ethanol through this route. And corn is not the only substance. We have a wide variety of lignocellulosic biomass. This technology is suitable to convert any kind of lignocellulosic biomass. Somehow this pointer is not working. I would like to go back to this. Go back. Can you go back to this slide? Yeah, just only one slide I would like to say that any rice straw, wheat straw, sweet sorghum, any kind of starting materials, you can convert those lignocellulosic biomasses into ethanol and various other valorized products. You can meet the obligations of ethanol of the nation, and also you can also have the ambitions for exporting this to any other stricter compliant geographies. Stricter compliance geographies. So with that statement, thank you very much once again for giving this opportunity. Thank you very much.
A big thank you, Dr. SSV Ramakumar, for sharing your insightful perspectives and taking us through all the details. Up next, we are honored to welcome onto the dais Mr. Ravi Gupta, General Manager at the R&D Center at Indian Oil Corporation, someone who's been driving innovation in energy and sustainable fuel technologies, backing research and practical applications.
I'll finish. I have a very brief presentation. Thank you so much, Dr. Gupta, for inviting Indian Oil. I'll speak about, as you specifically mentioned, corn. So I have prepared few slides on how we can valorize corn in the new technology setup. So my presentation topic is beyond E20 and advances in bioethanol production technology. So I'll presenting a brief, next slide, just adjust. So as you are aware, as per the National Biofuel Policy by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, we have already achieved 20% blending target, and Indian Oil has been in the forefront in achieving this mandate. But what beyond E20? So beyond E20, as you may see in this slide, we have the constraint in the molasses and the sugar, but what we can achieve beyond E20 is through grain and more importantly through corn. So 500 crore liters per annum is maize potential, which will meet beyond E20 targets. Sweet sorghum is also picking up, and we expect 200 crore liters per annum, but there's some sort of technology issues, but we expect these will be resolved, and beyond E20, E27, E85 targets, we have to meet those targets in future. So we'll require new feedstocks and technologies which will fetch you beyond E20 targets. So this is biofuel generation. You may be aware the biofuel has been growing up across the world, but we are scouting new feedstocks. So scouting the new feedstocks, you have 1G, 2G and 3G feedstock. Indian Oil has been in the forefront in adopting technologies and putting up commercial plant. We are the first in the Asia to set up 2G ethanol plant. So these are some of the biomass feedstock. As in the morning inaugural session, Honorable Minister Gadkari Sahab also talked about the bio-based economy. So bio-based economy will fetch you new sort of products such as ethanol and other products where you have to meet all sorts of mandates like SAF, your methanol mandates and other mandates. So bio-based economy is a key, and through bio-based technologies we can meet all sorts of product mandates required in India, and it will also help us in mitigating climate change, and in fact you can see energy security and all those. So this is lignocellulose. I'll not skip this slide. Indian initiatives in 2G ethanol. Department of Biotechnology put up a lot of centers. And at Indian Oil, there was one center set up through which we had developed the 2G ethanol technology as well. Indian Oil has its own 2G ethanol technology. We put up first 2G ethanol production plant first at Panipat. It is currently running at almost 50-60% capacity. There are some bottleneck, but it's running well. This is, and other 3 plants of BPCL, HPCL, and ABPRPL are due to commission this year. 2G ethanol technology, especially talk about Indian Oil technology, apart from the pre-treatment process and other, we have developed first time in India 2G enzyme as well as yeast required, co-fermenting yeast required for 2G ethanol technology, which is currently not available in India, and we are importing all these components like enzyme and yeast in India. So Indian Oil has developed these 2 major components of technology like enzyme and yeast, and we are testing right now at our 2G ethanol demo plant. So this is one of the major achievements which we have developed, and this will in fact, if we are going through cellulosic ethanol pathway, these are 2 major OPEX components which we can reduce cost. 3G ethanol I'll talk about. This is also plant which has been commissioned at India. This is based on LanzaTech technology. So coming to the novel technology pathway, where because as Dr. Gupta talked about, there are issues in 2G ethanol cost. So there are cost issues. So you can do it in 2 ways. First is if you can reduce in OPEX like enzymes and yeast, you can reduce those costs. Another novel pathway, if you can go around and if you can integrate 1G and 2G. So how to integrate those in the pathway, like if you have sugarcane based plants, you can integrate 1G, 2G, and you can have a ready-made pathway. At least you can reduce the cost to some sort of levels through OPEX intervention and some sort of biogas intervention, because biogas is also one of the major components where you can utilize some sort of, in the process scheme, you can utilize as pathway, and you can try to reduce the cost by adopting 1.5G sort of technology, where you are having the 1G pathway and 2G pathway. I'll just, last slide, I'll just give you some sort of benefits where you have in this 1.5G pathway. So you have single train, single use of single fermentation step of C5, C6. You have improved energy efficiency from integrating the input and output energy streams. You have a common downstream which can further help in the reduction of overall processing steps. Then I believe by employing indigenous technologies of enzyme and yeast, you can have better economics, co-location of our single plant, and the mixing of sugar stream. I think if we are adopting 1.5G sort of technology pathway, we can in fact reduce the OPEX, which is a bottleneck, and I believe corn, dented corn are the future, and we should adopt these sort of feedstocks in the 1.5G pathway to move beyond E20. Thank you so much. (2G plant you are talking about? Panipat is running at around 40 to 50%.
But could you run any plant at 40 to 50%? What's the future of it? You will have to close it.
Sir, right now
it is draining money. What kind of technology you have? I won't talk here. Let me talk second.
Okay.
What about 1.5G technology?
Sir, 1.5G technology I have talked about. This is a future technology which we have to maybe adopt it to reduce the OPEX.
The right way.
Because that's why I presented this aspect.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ravi Gupta, for taking us through that. Up next, I would like to invite onto the dais Mr. Raja Ram Panghavne Patil, Founder President, Brahma Valley Group of Institutions, Nashik, someone who's been a driving force in promoting education, innovation, and sustainable initiatives, making sure that the coming generation is green future ready.
Namaste to all dignitaries. today a very good and a very effective function organized by Dr. Gupta and his team. I have also get opportunity to participate in this summit. Thank you for Dr. Gupta and his team. Today, I will talk in Marathi because in our Maharashtra, there is going a big revolution. Her Maharashtrian talk to in Marathi. So, sorry to all, I will talk in Marathi. सर्वांना नमस्कार. सर्वांना नमस्कार. आज या ठिकाणी इथेनॉल, ग्रीन एनर्जी आणि त्याचबरोबर हायड्रोजन एनर्जी यासारखे आपल्या भारत देशाच्या दृष्टीने अत्यंत महत्त्वाचा असा सेमिनार या ठिकाणी होत आहे. या सेमिनारमध्ये अनेक शास्त्रज्ञ, अनेक विद्वान लोक यांनी याच्यामध्ये सहभाग घेतलेला आहे. आणि या ठिकाणी मी चर्चा, प्रत्येक जो वक्ता होता, या ठिकाणी आलेले जे पाहुणे आहेत, जे वक्ते आहेत, त्यांनी अत्यंत चांगल्या पद्धतीने भारताचं भविष्य आपल्याला कशा पद्धतीने बदलायचं आहे. आणि भारत हा कृषीप्रधान देश आहे. आणि ह्या कृषीप्रधान देशामध्ये शेती व्यवसाय मजबूत झाला तरच भारत देश मजबूत होईल. मला वाटतं या ठिकाणी हे जे समिट आहे, हे जे चर्चासत्र आहे, मला वाटतं हे भारताला निश्चितचपणे एका भक्कम दिशेकडे त्या ठिकाणी नेणार आहे. मी सुद्धा एक शेतकरी कुटुंबातूनच माझा जन्म झालेला आहे. आणि शेती व्यवसाय हा आमचा प्रमुख व्यवसाय आहे. आणि शेतीबरोबरच मी बँकिंग व्यवसायात सुद्धा मी एक कोऑपरेटिव्ह बँक नाशिक जिल्ह्यामध्ये मी स्थापन केली. त्या कोऑपरेटिव्ह बँकेनंतर मी शैक्षणिक क्षेत्रामध्ये नाशिक जिल्ह्यातच आपण त्र्यंबकेश्वर हे ज्योतिर्लिंग आहे आणि नाशिक ते त्र्यंबकेश्वर या रस्त्यावरती एक मोठं शैक्षणिक संकुल त्या ठिकाणी उभं केलेलं आहे. मी बँकिंग आणि शिक्षण क्षेत्रात काम करत जरी असलो तरी शेती व्यवसाय हा माझ्या जडणघडणीचा मुख्यत्वे पाया आहे. आमच्याकडे द्राक्षाची म्हणजे ग्रेप्स, त्याबरोबर डाळिंब म्हणजे प्रोमोग्रेनेट, ओनियन, त्यानंतर शुगर केन, क्रॉन म्हणजे मराठीमध्ये त्याला मका म्हणतात. अशी अनेक प्रकारची शेती मोठ्या प्रमाणामध्ये होते. आणि अत्यंत फर्टाईल अशी लँड आणि भरपूर पाणी जे आहे, नद्या आहे, गोदावरी रिव्हर आहे, त्यानंतर इतरही मोठमोठ्या नद्या, अनेक डॅम्स, 13 डॅम्स आहे. आणि आमच्या भागात आता मक्याचं उत्पादन ये जो क्रॉन जो है, क्रॉन की भी खेती अभी महाराष्ट्र में हर तरफ बड़े पैमाने पर बढ़ रही है. शुगर केन भी है. महाराष्ट्र में बहुत सारी शुगर फैक्ट्रीज है. उसमें इथेनॉल के प्रोजेक्ट भी बहुत सारी फैक्ट्रियों ने, शुगर फैक्ट्री ने शुरू की है. मगर आज जो ये समिट है, ये समिट में इथेनॉल जो जो मेन सब्जेक्ट रखा गया है हाइड्रो एनर्जी है इसमें, और क्रॉन जो है, क्रॉन से इथेनॉल तैयार करना, मुझे लगता है ये हमारे देश के लिए ये बड़ी क्रांति आगे इसमें से आएंगी। भारत को समृद्धि की ओर ले जाने वाली ये जो रिसर्च है, और इसका इथेनॉल का यूज अभी पेट्रोल में हो रहा है। अभी जो एनर्जी है ये कोल एनर्जी से बहुत ज़्यादा ये जो पोल्यूशन हो रहा है वो आस्ते आस्ते कम होना चाहिए, और ग्रीन एनर्जी की तरफ हमारी जो यूजेस है ग्रीन एनर्जी की, और उस तरफ रिसर्च होके आगे बड़े पैमाने पर इसका उपयोग अगर एनर्जी में हो जाए तो ये हमारे लिए बहुत अच्छा है। मैं भी, हमारा जो एरिया है नासिक और महाराष्ट्र, ये बहुत ही समृद्ध कुछ एरिया है, बहुत सारे रिवर्स है, फर्टाइल लैंड्स है। इसके कारण ये जो क्रॉन का इथेनॉल में अगर यूज शुरू हो जाता है, अभी शुगर केन में तो शुरू हुआ है, लेकिन क्रॉन का शुरू हो जाएगा तो मुझे लगता है ये देश के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी क्रांति आएगी। और हम जो प्रदेश से जो पेट्रोल ऑयल लाते वो कम होके हमारा भारत समृद्ध बढ़ेगा और एक बड़ी महाशक्ति बनेगा। ऐसा ही आप सबको मैं एक निवेदन करके मेरा स्पीच यहाँ ख़त्म करता हूँ। डॉक्टर गुप्ता साहब और उनके जो सहयोगी है उन्होंने मुझे यहाँ बुलाया, मैं उनको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ। जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र, जय भारत।
आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया मिस्टर राजा राम Pankhavne Patil, the founder president of Brahma Valley Group of Institutions. Moving next, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude this session, it is my pleasure to invite onto this side someone who's a visionary in driving sustainable infrastructure projects, combining innovation with responsibility to deliver solutions which are both efficient and environmentally conscious. Please put your hands together as we invite onto the dais the Managing Director and CEO of Preserve Infra Private Limited, Mr. Kamal Goel.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, we are discussing a lot about green energy today. So far, the energy which we are using is through the black route, which was called black gold. Nowadays, we are discussing about green energy. So why should not we call it as green gold? And you see the corn, which looks like gold again, you know. So if you see the black gold, a lot of energy we are getting through it, and a lot of efforts have been put in this direction, right? You see all the technologies are developed, processing through the crude or through the coal. So now we are discussing about green energy. We really need a lot of efforts in this direction as well, which is less pollution making, you know. I mean, anything green is feeding the people. So if that green can feed to the machinery also, nothing like it. And it is pollution free. So I would really motivate the entire industry, the people who can work in this direction and put in effort, the efforts we are putting, you know, developing this black gold to a energy which can be utilized by us. So let us put, you know, all the efforts in this direction and convert that green energy through the green gold route. Thank you. I will not take much time because already I think time is over, right? Thank you so much.
Before we get into the felicitation ceremony for our speakers, are there any questions from any of the audience members that they would like to pose to the speakers on the dais? You can raise your hand if you have questions towards any of our speakers here. No questions? All right, so then we would like to quickly take this opportunity to felicitate all the speakers who joined us for this plenary session. I request Ms. Kanchan Zutshi, Director at PhD CCI, and also Mr. Mahendra Rastogi, who's the co-chair of Environment Committee at PhD CCI, to kindly join us on stage and felicitate the speakers of the plenary session. Yeah, can I request the dignitaries to come forward with you for a group photograph?